Let us continue with our lesson. So we'll be creating a database. So let's go to our phpMyAdmin. So it should be the site name. I just forgot the site name. So for that, let's go to homestead and the site for is a phpMyAdmin.test. Just copy and just paste it over here. That should open a login page for phpMyAdmin, and let's log in using a MOMESTEAD homestead, and the password is SCCRET. And so we are inside it, and let us create a database. So I'll just go to new over here, and let's create a new database for our application, which will be to do underscore db. So you can just give any name that you prefer, but I'll be, if you follow it together with me, you can make use of to do underscore db. And let's change this one to, let me change this one to utf4, and utf8 mb4 you can just change to general ci, and just create this database. And so now we have our database created already over here, and the next step is to configure it in our Laravel project. So for that, I think let's go to our phpMyStorm over here, and here is the place that we need to configure. And if you go to the config over here, and there is a database configuration file. If you take a note, you just can open this file, and by default it's using a connection, db connection of a MySQL, and you have other connection also like SQLite, and you have MySQL, PGSQL, and SQL Server. So you have a lot of configuration that you can make use, but by default it is using MySQL. You can see by default it's using MySQL, and we'll be using a MySQL for database for this project. And if you want to change any of the configuration over here, like for MySQL, its driver is a MySQL, and the DB host port number is configured over here, okay? And the cache is of this one just now, the UTF-8 MB4 Unicode CI, and we have just configured our project over here. If you go to the database, we have if you go to the database section over here, and if you go to the new database, and if you check that database is, we have configured the UTF-8 MB4 general CI. That's matched with our project in the phpStorm, and other thing that is configured over here. So if you want to change anything, you can just come back and change over here, but it's always preferred that we change from a env file. So we will be configuring and changing everything from a env file. And the next step is before we configure or change anything in our Laravel project, we will be configuring it with a we need to configure it with a git, and for the version control we'll be using a GitHub. So on the next step, let's go and configure git and our project in the GitHub. Then we'll come and configure our database over here. So before we get started, let's have our version control system set up. So let's meet up in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day.